we are just finishing up a giveaway that we're doing. We're giving away 50 copies of this book called Founder version 1.0. It's from Founder magazine. I bought 50 copies of it and I'm giving it away to the audience. It's an $80 book. It's really nice. I'm paying for shipping and handling. I'm paying for everything. So just go to gregmercer.com/founder. Enter your name and email and all that good stuff, and you'll be entered for a chance to win. So, first question. How are the Jungle Slumber sleeping bags coming along? Good question. If you guys aren't familiar, right now we're doing $1 million case study where we're building and launching as well as scaling a physical products business company up to $1 million in revenue. We have 2 products live on Amazon right now, our Jungle Sticks, which are bamboo marshmallow sticks, as well as our Jungle Snugs hooded baby towels. We're getting ready to launch our 3rd product, which are Jungle Slumber sleeping bags. This time we're launching it in the UK. If you want to follow along with that case study, you can find it at junglescout.com/million. But the Jungle Slumber sleeping bags are coming along well. They're supposed to be finished in the next few days here. We're still waiting for Amazon to approve our Amazon UK account. I don't know why they're being so slow, but we expect to get that in the next few days. And then, so yeah, maybe as soon as the middle, it should be before Thanksgiving when we have a live listing up on Amazon. So we are stoked for that. All right, getting a few reports that maybe it's still a countdown timer, but I think we should be all good. Let me just check. All right, cool. I think we're good. So yeah, let me know what other questions you have for me. One sec, we might have a little bit of technical difficulty here. All right. Hang on 1 minute, guys. I guess we're having a few technical difficulties and we will try to get this restarted. So, okay. I guess I'm getting mixed reports. Some people say they're having problems. Some people say they aren't. I think we are good. Let me just make sure. Hang on. All right. I think we're all good. All right. Now I'm seeing it. All good, all good, all good, all good. Nadia asked, are all your businesses profitable? Good question. Yes, all of my businesses are profitable. That being said, not all are cash flow positive. So especially with physical products businesses, this is something you have to think about. The more cash you reinvest into the business, the faster you're able to scale them. So short answer to answer your question, yes, they're all profitable. They are not all cash flow positive though, because I personally don't live like very expensive lifestyle. So I would prefer to reinvest cash back into my businesses to continue to see them grow and create new products and all that kind of stuff, as opposed to pulling out profits for myself. All right. All right. Peter said, hey, watching the $1 million case study, the question I have is, if I sell pan-European, am I better selling as FBM rather than FBA to keep the tax compliance cost down? This is a good question. To get started on Amazon FBA, or get started in Europe on Amazon FBA, I would encourage you to just get started with one marketplace, because that's going to keep the tax compliance costs at the same price as what if you were just doing FBM. And no one likes to do FBM. You have to pick and pack and fill all your own shipments and stuff, which nobody really wants to do. So that's what I would encourage you to do. After you start making some more money and you see there's good demand for your product and it's getting good reviews and everything else, that's when you could think about launching in other marketplaces. We brought on an expert during a VAT session. I think it was session 6, 7, maybe 8 of the $1 Million Case Study Europe edition. If you go back and watch that, we weigh like all the pros and cons of doing pan-European versus one marketplace versus 2 marketplaces in the EU. After watching that, you realize it's not quite as complicated as what a lot of people make it sound. I just think there's not a whole lot of good resources out there to kind of like understand it. All right. One question from Facebook is, I've launched my product and getting average of 3 sales per day. How do I increase my market share and get more sales? So first of all, congratulations on launching. 3 sales a day is a great start. I'm confident you can scale it up from there. In order to scale it up and in order to get more sales, at the end of the day, what you're after is better organic keyword rank, right? That's what we all want at the end of the day, is for our products to be ranking well or totally organically, so that we don't have to spend money on PPC and giveaways and whatever else. What I would do if I was you, assuming that there's solid demand in your market and there is share that you can capture beyond what you have right now, I would probably at this point just jack up my PPC spend and bid more aggressively on some keywords. So it sounds like you just launched. So, during my first 1 or 2 months worth of sales on Amazon, I'm willing to like lose significant money on my PPC sales in exchange for getting more sales, which means I rank better organically. And anytime you make sales, you also get more reviews. So, I think you need a plan in the first month or 2 to be willing to like invest money in marketing spend, which means that you're losing a little bit of money overall. But what we're after here is like a long-term listing that's going to create us money for years and years to come. Shibu said, the FBA control panel is very complicated. Will you do some separate videos on how to prepare a shipment? Yes. I forget exactly which episode of the $1 Million Case Study. I think it was the one that we had on, I kind of forget now. Short answer to your question, yeah, I'll make some videos for it. But in one of the $1 Million Case Study Europe edition episodes, I do make a few example shipments and show you how to do that. It would probably be episode like 9 or 10 or 11 or something like that. If you look back through the descriptions, you can find the one that talks about that. Hey Greg, when we want to remove unfulfillable inventory, shall we have it addressed in the USA, as Amazon doesn't ship outside the USA? Yes, that's how you have to do it. To be completely honest with you, I usually dispose of inventory that's been returned and that's unsellable. I've never found a cost-effective way to repackage that and then reship it into Amazon. If you wanted to do it yourself and you're living in the US, you probably could. I've never really been interested in kind of doing that work myself, and I've never found a cost-effective way to pay someone to do it. So I normally just dispose of it, but short answer to your question is yes, you need to ship it somewhere in the US. It'd be very costly to ship all that inventory overseas somewhere, even if they did allow it. Hey Greg, I've been researching this for about a month now and really want to get started. I'm hesitant to pull the trigger on the Jungle Scout extension, which I really want. Do you offer any free trials? The Jungle Scout extension does not have a free trial. However, of course, we have a money-back guarantee, so it's totally zero risk. If you purchase it and decide you won't like it, which I'm very confident you will, you could always just email us and you can return it and get your money back. So it's totally risk-free. If you still don't feel comfortable with that, there's tons and tons of tutorials we made on our YouTube channel. You can check it out, see how all the features and stuff work. That way you can get a great understanding of how it all works and if it's a good value for you, which I'm confident it will be. Yeah. How do you feel about using social media influencers to drive traffic to your Amazon listings? Is it worth the time and or money? Do they typically charge a fee? My personal feeling is it's not worth the time and money to do so. In certain niches, this may work well. For example, like the mommy bloggers, if I were to contact them about my hoodie baby towels, I might be able to get them to write a blog post or make a YouTube video or whatever about it. If they have a very large following, which is normally the only time that's really worth it, they typically do charge a fee. And it's difficult to know whether or not that pays off, because there's no way to track where your sales come from inside Amazon. But in my opinion, I don't personally believe it's worth the time and money. Greg, could you share the information about when Amazon closes its warehouses for new sellers, and is that going to happen this year? Amazon has only done this once before, which was last year. They've done it a whole bunch of years in the toys and games category, but for all of the categories combined, I've been selling on Amazon for like 5 or 6 years now. They've only done this once, which is last year. I think last year they had already announced it by now. So I wouldn't think it's going to happen this year. Maybe it does and they announce it in the next few weeks. I don't know. But generally now, I think as of last year, they had already announced it by this time frame. So it seems like they're not going to do it this year. Worst case scenario, I mean, I think you're allowed to start sending shipments in again like December 25th. So worst case scenario, you end up ordering some stuff and you have to wait, till December 25th. If you haven't ordered it by now, it's probably going to be pretty close to December 25th anyway. So yeah, that's the only information I have. They're not good about sharing that up front. They normally just kind of like send the email. Do you have your product inspected prior to shipment to your house, i.e. in China? The first 2 or 3 years selling on Amazon, I never got a single inspection, and I don't even really have any horror stories. A couple like negative experiences, but no horror stories. Nowadays, I generally do inspect my shipments just because I guess I'm maybe like more risk adverse, and I just want to like make sure nothing bad happens. And I guess like I'm not as concerned about the money anymore. So I generally do. But that being said, they cost like $200. So essentially you just have to decide, if it's like a $500 order from China, well, it's probably not worth it to spend $200 on an inspection. If it's a $10,000 order from China, then yeah, $200 is probably worth it, right? So you just kind of have to think about that. Based on your jump send research, what tips would you give us about writing effective follow-up emails, and when should we send them? Good question. A few tips that I have would be only have one call to action per email. So sometimes I see emails that say like, hey, can you leave feedback? And then after you're done, can you leave a review? And then after that, shoot me an email that says what kind of improvements I can make on the product. It's like, that's asking for too much stuff. Just ask them to leave a review. At the end of the day, that's all we really care about. Who really cares that much about seller feedback? We want product reviews, so ask for that. I would encourage you to send an email asking for a review like the day after it's delivered. It's still fresh in their mind, but hopefully they had a chance to open the box and see it. At that point, they're generally like the most excited about it as well. And then I usually send them like a week later. So if they didn't leave an email, the day after they received it, hopefully they would the week after. One thing inside JumpSend, we've done a lot of testing about what types of call to action CTAs get the most clicks. And we've built one that's exclusive to JumpSend. And what it looks like, it's like the picture of the product, and then it has like 5 hollow stars or like star outlines. And it looks like you could grade it right inside your email by clicking on one of those hollow stars. And we saw the click-through ratio increased from 0.22% to 0.37% by adding that. So almost twice the click-through ratio. And then you can't track how many actual reviews are left of that, but you could probably assume it's almost twice the number of reviews as well. So I would encourage you to insert in JumpSend. You can automatically insert this through an autofill tag. I would encourage you to use that because it works very well. Does your original $2,500 estimate for starting a private label product on FBA still apply? Yes, it does. I still believe that's true. Sarah on YouTube, if I sell kitchen and household items that will touch food, do I have to get a lab test and set up quality control? Yes. If your product comes into contact with food or drinks, it has to have an FDA inspection. Your factory probably already has this or is already aware of it. I think it costs like $100, but they test to make sure there's not like lead and whatever else inside the materials that they're using to create these products that come into contact with food. So you should just be able to ask your factory about it, and they should be able to help you. If not, you can hire an inspection company like VTrust or Asia Inspection, and they will know what to do. If you just say like, hey, I'm importing a cup or some Tupperware or whatever else into the US, what do I have to do as far as FDA inspections? And they'll tell you. On YouTube, Amp said, what are your thoughts on super URLs? I think super URLs are a huge waste of your time and mental energy and brain power because they don't do anything. Super URLs didn't even do anything before they like banned super URLs like 2 or 3 years back. Like people were just getting sales and ranking well, just like you do anytime you get sales and increase your sales velocity. So they assumed, oh, it was only from the super URL. It's like, no, that was because you were getting sales, and increasing sales velocity increases your rank on these pages. So, I mean, you can use one if you want. They're against the terms of service, I think, but Amazon's never done anything about it. And they don't do anything about it because their engineers and their developers are much smarter to know that, like, just because there's these keywords in the URL that someone types in to buy it, they don't, you know, like there's JavaScript installed on their website, obviously. So they know, you know, like a direct link in with that super URL, they know you didn't really search that on the page and then land on that page. Like through JavaScript, they know your movements throughout their site. So yeah, super URLs don't work. I mean, you know, it's like you can't prove that for sure, but like I'm 99% sure they don't work. So it's a waste of your time. Do you have any video that gives more information on keywords? Yes. In the $1 Million Case Study, we've done 2 videos about setting up your listing. And when we talk about setting up your listing, keyword research is an important part of that. So we go over that. So I would encourage you to check those out. Should I place a country of origin on my products like made in China? Yes, that's actually required. So I forget the governing agency for this, but yes, you have to have the point of origin on your, it doesn't necessarily have to be on your products, but it does have to be on your packaging. So generally I just put like below the barcode, I just put like made in China. Sophia on YouTube said, hey Greg, what do you think about building email lists by having a package insert? We did this on our Jungle Slumber sleeping bags. What do I think about it? I think that it certainly doesn't hurt. They included the inserts for free, so the cost is pretty much zero. It just took a little bit of the time for design the insert. I don't think I have this on some of my other products. You don't get very many emails. Like I think you're lucky if you get like 1 or 2%. So it's like, all right, you know, every time I sell 1,000 products, I'll get 10 or 20 emails. That's not too valuable for me, but at the same time, it's not that much work either. So those are my thoughts on it. If you feel like doing it, go for it. Don't have too high of hopes for the results that you'll get from it as well, though. I see there are import regulations with wood products or products with wood in it. Is this handled by the factory or do I need to handle this myself? What did you do with your jungle sticks? The only regulations around my jungle sticks were, man, now I kind of forget. I didn't, the product's like 2 years old now and I kind of forget exactly. There are different regulations around different things, specifically with, I think anytime you order something with bamboo, you have to give like the bamboo species. I think they have to also make sure that like the bamboo, essentially it can't be planted like in the US and take over as like so essentially it has to be like cut where it can't like start growing again. The best bet with that is probably going to be to ask your factory or ask an inspection company about it. The third resource I could help with that would be a freight forwarder. Like the freight forwarder was the one that asked like, okay, what type of bamboo is this? Because they had to like write it down on the customs import sheets. So hopefully that helps. Do you have any videos on the niche hunter? Yes. Just go to our YouTube channel, search for niche hunter, and you'll find a few different videos that walk you through how to do it. Also, if you're inside the app, on the top right-hand side, there's like a little video tutorial button. You can click that and watch that little video as well. Hey, Greg, do I need to start an LLC to sell in the US? My understanding is if you're not an American, then yes, it's required to either have a US LLC or a business structure organization in your home country or some other country, like I guess in a corporation anywhere in the world. If you are a U.S. citizen, no, you don't have to have an LLC. You can just enter your social security numbers, your tax identifier. But an LLC obviously does provide some legal protection from your personal assets if you were to get sued. All right, another one on YouTube says, Greg, is it true that Amazon holds your money the first month? I honestly have no idea. I set up my Amazon account like 6 years ago now. I don't think they held my money the first month, but maybe someone else who just opened up a brand new Amazon account could chime in and help us out with that question. Daryl on Facebook said, are we required to set a cost of shipping price when we create the listing? If you're using FBA, then no, it doesn't matter. If you're using FBM, then yes. So if you're sending it into Amazon, having them fulfill it, then you don't need a cost of shipping because they handle that. It's fulfilled by them. If you're shipping it yourself, fulfilled by merchant, FBM, from your house, then you have to insert the price of what you want Amazon to charge the customer for your fulfillment services. Eddie on YouTube said, how do you compete with sellers using fake reviews? Does reporting them to Seller Central make any difference? I don't spend an ounce of my brain power worrying about fake reviews. My competitors probably have them. I don't think reporting them can really do anything. I guess you could try. I've never really tried before. To be completely honest, I just don't even think about it. I just keep on doing my thing, making my product the best that I can, sending good follow-up emails so I can get real, organic, natural reviews. Yeah, I've never, had a problem with it. Like, I think you're probably overthinking it, is my opinion. Anna from Facebook said, I just joined the call. Have you talked about your top life hacks? No, I have not, Anna. Talked about my top life hacks. Kind of putting me on the spot to think of my top life hacks. What are some things that I do? I try to wake up early every morning. That's a good life hack for everyone, I think. As far as learning goes, I try to I have a few tips I think that help me increase overall happiness or productivity. I try to live places that I never have to drive anywhere. I feel like driving is sitting in traffic especially is soul sucking. It's a huge waste of time, and I try not to do it. So I try to just only live in places where I can walk everywhere. Walking places makes you feel good. It's healthy because you're getting exercise, and I generally always listen to podcasts while I'm walking around or audiobooks. Those are my two main sources of education and learning. Other life hacks. I have pretty much all notifications turned off on all my systems. This helps me just concentrate on the tasks that I'm doing. Those are the only ones that come to mind right off the top of my head. All right. Where can I find all the labeling requirements in the US per category of item? David, unfortunately, I don't know of a good centralized resource for the labeling requirements. A few things you can do is you can check Amazon, their help section. You can look at your competitors' products and see what kind of labeling they have on there. Maybe that's something in the future that we'll try to put together, because there's no central agency or guidelines or anything else on labeling requirements, especially in the US. So maybe at Jungle Scout we'll try to put together a all-inclusive labeling requirement ebook or whatever else. That'd be a good thing to do. On YouTube, Echo says, hey Greg, I'm brand new to Jungle Scout, but following you for a long time and just have to say it's amazing what you do. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. What considerations do I need to take into account when importing items with lithium batteries? Eddie asked us on YouTube. Oh man, honestly, I don't know. I've never imported anything with lithium batteries. I'd say talk to your freight forwarder, because I know when I'm requesting a quote, my freight forwarder does have a box hey, check this box if it's lithium batteries. I've never checked it before because I've never purchased anything with lithium batteries. Amazon might also have some requirements though. So I would check. Those are the two things I would check. I would check with your freight forwarder, see what requirements there are with them. And then I'd check with Amazon because that might be like fall kind of like under their hazmat items. So yeah, I would check that. All right, on YouTube, Mayor said, Greg, I got my first product before 1 week, and I just want to say thanks to Jungle Scout. Thank you, and congratulations for getting your first product. George Toria on Facebook said, hey, Greg, what kind of margins do you expect on your products? I would like to have 30% margins, but realistically, I'm normally around the 25 to 28% margin range. So margins, I think, are confusing with Amazon, and a lot of people will tell you different numbers. However, when I say 28% margins, that means I'm doing $100 of top line revenue. Out of that, Amazon's taking their fees, so that's probably like $30. So now I'm down to like $70, right? Out of that $70, I'm paying for PPC, photography, the cost of goods, inbound shipping, all that type of stuff. So out of that $70 after Amazon takes their fees, I paid for all that stuff, and I have like 28% left, which would be like $28 out of 100. So I think that's a good number to shoot for. It's realistic. Yeah. And I think it's solid margins too. In the physical product space, 28% margins is solid. Most like brick and mortar stores that are selling physical products would love to have 28% margins. And on Facebook said, if we watch one of your case studies and follow all your steps, will we have all the information needed to be able to launch our own products? I believe so. A lot of people have launched products on Amazon by following along with the $1 Million Case Study. Every week, we teach you all the steps that we had to do that week in order to launch this product. There's nothing hidden. It's 100% totally transparent. It's not like we teach you the half of stuff you need to know, or like half of the stuff, and the other half you have to like pay for or something. Like there's no hidden like other pay course or anything. Like we're sharing everything with you of what we're using to, everything that we need to know and everything that we're doing to launch these products. So I am confident that if you follow along with the entire $1 Million Case Study, all of the webinars, all the sessions, then you should have, I'm confident you will have everything you need to know to be able to launch your own product. Can you please comment on the hack for getting access to Vendor Express for the purpose of AMS ads? Laughing out loud for a Canadian resident selling on .com. Sure, I did a whole video on this, exactly how to hack it and to get access. Go to the $1 Million Case Study. It's phase 1. We're launching the hooded baby towels. Just find the video on AMS and I walk you through. I do the screen share of like how to hack it, how to get in there, how to set up the account, how to optimize your ads and everything else. So yeah, check it out. I have a video that shows you the whole steps and it's free. Hey Greg, please tell me if there's any plans to release JumpSend in Germany. I'm 1 month away from launching my first product on Amazon.de and I would love to use some JumpSend to boost my launch. Yes, there are plans. We should have JumpSend launched for the UK on Monday, so just a few days away. They're doing the final testing and everything today. The Germany store will be the next one. So it's February 10th today, or November 10th today. I'd say our target would be before Christmas. But realistically, depending on how things go, it might be after the new year until we launch on Germany. So we might be able to hit your timeline about right, but I'm not positive. Hey, Greg, did you start it with drop shipping at all when you first got started? Nope, I didn't start out drop shipping. Another one on Facebook. Edit says, what do you think about Amazon FBA in the UK? Is it a big enough market? Yes, I think it's a very big market. Plenty big enough to have multiple successful products. We're launching a product right there. We're launching a product there right now. Our Jungle Slumber sleeping bags. So you can check out the case study, junglescout.com/million. Daryl said, would you recommend sourcing from other countries besides China, like India? I've never personally sourced a product from anywhere except China and Taiwan, which is arguably part of China. I don't know anything about sourcing from India, to be honest. If you have connections there or you know a good factory there and it seems legit, then I don't see any reason why you couldn't source from India. Could you say a few words about how to work with freight forwarders, how to decide whether to use a supplier's shipment services or a freight forwarder? I would encourage you to use a freight forwarder if you're shipping by ocean freight. It's generally better and cheaper than your supplier services. I personally use Flexport as my freight forwarder. Another place that you can find a freight forwarder, it's called Freightos. So it's like the word freight and os.com. Freightos is kind of like the Kayak or Expedia or whatever else of freight forwarders. So like you put in the information about your shipment and then they tell you like a bunch of freight forwarders and all their prices and stuff. So you could use that to find one. But essentially you just find a freight forwarder that you like to work with, and yeah, and then they'll kind of walk you through all the steps after that. You can just tell them like, hey, this is my first time shipping having a shipment shipped internationally. What do I need to do? And they'll like hold your hand and walk you through the whole process. Sam says, what is Fetcher and what does it do? The pricing link on the site doesn't work. The price, oh my gosh. All right, we'll have to look into that. I don't know what the deal is with the pricing link, but Fetcher.com it's one of our products. It is a Amazon accounting and profit analytics platform. So you sync it up with your Amazon Seller Central account, and Fetcher tells you your revenue and your promos and your margins and your profits, and it gives you like a profit and loss statement and analytics like the refunds and like all that kind of stuff. For all you guys that have already launched a product and selling on Seller Central, you'll know Seller Central is terrible. I don't know why it's so bad. I wish they would just make it awesome. But essentially, we built Fetcher to be able to do everything that Seller Central cannot do. So you can think of Fetcher as like QuickBooks or Xero or whatever else, but specifically for Amazon sellers. So it does your profit analytics and your bookkeeping and tells you all these metrics that you need to understand about whether or not running a healthy business or not. Can you sell on Amazon under the age of 18? I don't know. You can try. Sorry, I don't know the answer to that. Hey Greg, I'm from India. Does it give me an advantage to start my business selling in India, or can I start selling in the US with no geographical disadvantage? If you wanted to sell in the US, you would have no geographical disadvantage. I would encourage you though to start in whatever marketplace you feel like is the easiest for you to sell in. So if that's the Amazon India store, then go for it. If it seems just as easy to sell in the US, which it is very easy to sell in the US, then you can go for that as well. You don't have any disadvantages by not living in the US. Can you give us details on how to break down our ad report? It's difficult to do over an AMA. That being said, again, I've recorded a bunch of PPC videos on our YouTube channel. So I would encourage you to just go to the Jungle Scout YouTube channel, search for PPC, and I have some good videos in there that show you how to break down the ad report, how to find good search terms in it, how to optimize your PPC after doing it, and all that good stuff. On YouTube, M. Shelton said, regarding margins and tax calculations, are you accounting for business and income taxes before or after calculating your margin? So when I tell you 28% margin, I'm talking about EBITDA. So that would be before paying taxes on that money. How much do your sleeping bags cost you per unit? I honestly don't remember. We have that information if you go back into one of the $1 million case studies. Off the top of my head, I think like $5, but I don't know. I would have to go back and look at that slide. Have you ever sold products that you sold both the B2B and B2C? Is it a good idea to look for products that can be both B2B and B2C? Assuming you're talking about on Amazon here, I think you're overthinking it. Just put your product up on Amazon, and who cares whether businesses or consumers or both are buying it. FN said, "Hey Greg, good to see you. Regarding trademarks and patents, do you think the research is okay to be done by the sellers, or would it be better to use freelancers like Upwork, Fiverr? What do you recommend?" In my opinion, trademark research is pretty easy to do. You can go to the trademark database, and it's pretty user-friendly for just anyone like me or you to search through there and see if someone has that trademark. You can also usually just Google it. Remember, in the US at least, international law would get, kind of like global law would get much more complicated. But in the US, with trademarks, it's a first to use, not a first to register system. So even if it's not a registered trademark, but someone else that would be like in a similar industry as what you are, if they're using it, then it's still like their trademark. Okay. So, like our new sleeping bags are called Jungle Slumber. Even if that wasn't a registered trademark, but there was another sleeping bag or camping company or something using the brand name Jungle Slumber, they could still argue that you're infringing on their trademark. So essentially, you can't create the same business or brand name as what someone else is, kind of like in a similar market as what you're in, okay? So that's number one. With patents, and of course I'm not a lawyer, but this is how I understand all this. With patents, it's a little bit more difficult. With patents, like the easiest thing to do is to look like, okay, how many other people are selling like pretty much the same product? If there's a bunch of people selling like pretty much the same product, it's probably not patented. If there's only like one seller and it's a very unique design that you think would be easy to patent, then that's a little bit different. That's when you have to look into a little bit more, okay? And of course, these are just like general rules of thumbs that like you could find, a lawyer, if he's listening to this right now, he'd be like poking holes in all these statements that I say. But so these are like general rules of thumbs. With patents though, like typically people will like stamp like patent number, blah, 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 or patent pending on like their product or their packaging. Oftentimes you can find patent information on their websites, or if you Google the type of product with the name patent after it, usually you'll start to find patents when all of this starts to come up. Now, where it gets complicated would be like to figure out what part of their product is patented if you wanted to like make changes to that as to not infringe on their patent. At that point, I would encourage you to get legal help. But before that, I think most people would be able to do the other kind of like patent research themselves. On YouTube, Steve says, "Hey Greg, any tips on China culture and communication with them?" Sure. A few little tips is probably the biggest tip is business culture in China is not all that much different than in the Western world. They appreciate good, direct, straightforward communication, being friendly, being honest, etc., 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 all those types of things. If I were to talk about a few things where Eastern culture would maybe be a little bit different than Western culture or Chinese culture, would be they really value, I think, like face-to-face interactions or like building rapport like that. They really value long-term relationships. As far as communicating with them, pretty much all of the factories that you find like on Alibaba will have an English-speaking sales rep, and that's who you'll be communicating with. You can do so through email. However, I find that very slow. So I normally get them either on Skype Messenger, or in China, they all use WeChat, which is another app that you can download. Most also have WhatsApp, if you're familiar with WhatsApp. So the quickest and easiest way I think to communicate with them is through a messaging service, like one of those I just named, Skype, WeChat, or WhatsApp. And yeah, those are kind of the only tips I have for you. How do you suggest go about finding a product inspector in China? I would suggest you go to vtrust.com, asiainspection.com, or Google inspectors in China and find one from that list. There's tons of them. How do you avoid having to give away all your first round of inventory in order to rank for your product? So in order to rank for your product, you're going to have to give away a fair amount of units. It's very hard to say because that's going to be dependent on the different niches and how competitive it is and that kind of thing. I would not recommend giving away all of your first round unless you're only ordering like 10 or 20 units or whatever. Yeah. So I don't have too much other advice for that. I mean, I guess one piece of advice would be like, make sure you order enough inventory right off the bat, so you have some to give away. So we have about 4 more minutes. So I'm going to take a few more questions here, and then we'll wrap it up. Let's see. Shane on Facebook said, aside from Alibaba, what are some other great outsourced factories you can invest in for giving them your product idea and making business happen? Websites that have factories and suppliers. If you're like looking for a factory, like you have an invention, you're trying to find a factory to make it. Aside from Alibaba, the other ones would probably be like Global Sources would be another big one. I think there's some other ones that I'm not as familiar with because I generally just use Alibaba. But yeah, if you're like trying to invent a product, it's a little bit different process than just private labeling it. You'll probably want to go visit the factory, like meet with these people face to face. At this point, you'll need like drawings. I don't know what the product is, but you're going to need like some professional drawings and more information than just emailing someone saying like, hey, I want 100 sleeping bags with Jungle Slumber printed on them. Arthur on YouTube said, Jungle Scout rocks. Love what you're doing, Greg. Thank you. Much appreciated. Bashir says, if I buy the Niche Hunter monthly plan and I don't like it, could I get a refund? Sure. We have a money back guarantee on all of our products. You can buy anything you want. If you don't like it, just let us know. We'll give you your money back. How much money do you think we need to get, or how much money do you reckon we need to get started on Amazon? To launch a private label product on Amazon using the methodologies that we teach through the $1 Million Case Study, I think you need at least $2,000 to launch it. A lot of people do it for less money, but I think with $2,000, you can do like an effective launch, order plenty of inventory to do well, et cetera, et cetera. If you have less than that, that's when you either would have to be really scrappy or start to think about other ways to make money in order to kind of save that up to launch a product. One thing that a lot of people do, I think, are like retail arbitrage or online arbitrage or whatever, or order from wholesalers or whatever else. Hey, Greg, if I launch new products, is it possible Amazon could close my selling account if someone complains about the products? If yes, what will happen next? I've never had my Amazon account closed in years and years and years of selling. I've had certain listings suspended at times due to various reasons. However, you generally just have to fix what's wrong. Like they'll say you have a really high refund rate. What's wrong? Then you have to like submit a plan of action. Like this is, I'm going to fix it by inspecting them better next time. Blah blah blah. So no, they're not that ruthless about if one person complains that your account gets shut down. But if you do have a high complaint rate, like on some of the listings I've had suspended, like 10% or more of people were returning the item for a refund. And typically when that happens, there legitimately is something wrong with your listing. So they'll suspend your listing so you don't sell anymore. And then they'll email you like, hey, what's the deal? And then you normally just have to respond with saying, like, this is what I'm gonna do to fix it. And then they'll reopen that listing. Can you explain barcodes versus trademarks? And if I do barcodes, do I make Alibaba put the barcodes for me so the product is ready for Amazon warehouse? Yeah, these are actually two very different things. A barcode, I would recommend that you print something called the FN SKU on the packaging. You get this out of your Amazon account, and that's the barcode that's the unique identifier for your product at Amazon. Trademark something totally different. That would mean like, like the word fetcher right here. Fetcher is our trademark. It's our product. So that's our mark. And we can take it a step further by registering a trademark with your, in the US, obviously it's like the US trademark office. So those are, kind of two totally different things. So one more question, we're going to wrap it up. Lots of nice comments, so thank you guys very much. Jungle Scout rocks. Yes, thank you, Jungle Scout. I'm trying to think of another. One last good question. All right, this is Rod on YouTube said, I'm stuck in product research. Do you have any new videos to search products using Jungle Scout, like settings to put in the product database or something similar? I recorded a lot of videos all the time for using Jungle Scout. I would encourage you just to go to our YouTube channel, click on our videos, sort by like newest added, and just go through there and you'll, I mean, I have probably like 20, 30, 40 videos on how to use Jungle Scout on there, but you could look at some of the latest ones and maybe that'd be like a little bit new, kind of fresh information for you. So that's it, guys. I have to get back to work. We have work to do. We're still making the products better, working hard at it every day. So I have to go. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you haven't already done so, smash that like or love button, hit subscribe on YouTube, and I will see you next week. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.